The mayor of Dolton, Tiffany Henyard, lashed out at her board of trustees during another tense meeting.
She vetoed the board's decision to require the village to open its financial books, as well as the board's call for a federal investigation.
Yeah. Some of those charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
You didn't go to Las Vegas? What is that?
No comment. Why is
Are you in charge? Who's in charge?
And a power struggle is also playing out.
It's a police standoff, but it's unlike any you've seen. It's unclear exactly who is running the police department and the rest of the village as Mayor Tiffany Henyard struggles to show that she's still in.
But at some point, there would be 2 officers or 3 officers. And depending on if there was some type of event, it would be more officers.
There's a foundation that's not registered, but it has nothing to do with you.
correct? That's true.
Okay.
That's
So you're
true.
not aware of any of the work that they've done, money that they've raised, anything along those lines?
Correct. I found
As allegations of corruption, financial mismanagement, and concealed agendas begin to unravel Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard's meticulously crafted image, the situation is becoming more than just a political issue. It's about the trust of an entire community. While she's allegedly employing the race card to evade accountability, this tactic may actually be driving a wedge between her and the very people she claims to represent. And this is only the start. Imagine a video Tiffany Henyard is desperate to keep from Black America, and today we're exposing it all. Why are Dolton's Black residents and the community as a whole turning against her? What's the truth behind the charity scam that's got everyone buzzing? And why are federal agents circling her like sharks? Stay with us because this rabbit hole goes deeper than you might think. But of course, before I spill anything, make sure first that you subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell for more updates and videos like this.
We're here to help each other, not hurt each other. And it's a shame that us, I'm talking to my Black and brown communities, will sit here and fight.
And that's
but now Keith Freeman is cooperating, doing what he should have been done in the first place.
Cooperating with trustees.
With the trustees, absolutely, doing his job.
That leads us back
Related
here.
to the secret squirrel meetings, yes, that the board of trustees have
During an
creating
emergency,
chaos in your village.
the board vowed to override her veto and say they have the votes to do it.
The mayor can blame everybody for what's going on, but she has to look at herself. No.
Charity work should be about giving back and supporting those in need. But in Tiffany Henyard's world, it's become just another tool for exploitation. Take her so-called cancer charity, for instance, a charity that somehow forgot to file its financial records. How does something that crucial just slip through the cracks?
You went on this national platform and you said you didn't know anything about a foundation. But you forget that I was in certain rooms when certain things happened. And the reason I don't support you is because you were not honest about that foundation. I was in the room when it started.
The Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation, established in the fall of 2002, has quickly become mired in controversy over its financial transparency and legitimacy. Originally created to support cancer patients, the foundation has faced accusations of being a scam, with many questioning its true impact and the actual use of its funds. Despite heavy promotion by Henyard, who also serves as township supervisor, the foundation received $110,000 from the township board almost immediately after its creation, raising suspicions. What's more troubling that, in its first few months, the foundation reportedly raised only an additional $3,000 from other sources. This stark contrast between the substantial initial funding from the township and the minimal subsequent fundraising has sparked serious concerns about the foundation's operations.
The Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation, a non-for-profit organization whose mission is to find meaningful relief for people dealing with all types of cancer.
During a recent special meeting, Trustee Carla directly confronted Henyard about the foundation, pointing out the glaring lack of transparency and accountability in its finances. Carla, along with other trustees, has raised alarms over the approval process for payments and the need for more thorough documentation and communication regarding financial decisions. These concerns are further intensified by the fact that the Illinois Attorney General has ordered the foundation to cease soliciting funds due to its failure to submit the necessary tax filings, which are meant to disclose how the money has been used. A significant criticism leveled against Henyard is her defensive attitude during these meetings. When questioned about the foundation's financial management, she often deflects responsibility, claiming that the township's procedures are being properly followed. However, this defense has done little to ease the growing suspicions of the trustees and the public, who are increasingly questioning the foundation's legitimacy.
There's a foundation that's not registered, but it has nothing to do with you.
Correct. That's true.
Okay.
That's
So you're
true.
not aware of any of the work that they've done, money that they've raised, anything along those lines?
Correct.
I found it that
People are upset about the misuse of public resources and employees for the foundation's work. It's especially troubling because the foundation got a huge amount of money from the township, funded by taxpayers, without clear oversight. Many believe this could be a case of Henyard using her power to divert public funds into a private project that hasn't yet proven to be legitimate. Her responses to these accusations haven't helped either. She's been seen as dodging the issue, claiming she's just the face of the foundation and that things get put in her name without much involvement from her. This lack of ownership and responsibility has only made more people suspicious that the foundation might be a scam. Additionally, Henyard's effort to use her charity to boost her public image have not gone well. For instance, when she testified before a committee about the foundation's mission to help cancer patients, her statements were vague and poorly phrased, which hurt her credibility. She also tried to rebrand her existing businesses' social media to promote the foundation, but many saw this as a misleading way to gain more attention and legitimacy for the charity. Now let's dive into the really juicy part, the federal investigation. That's right, the feds are looking into Tiffany Henyard's actions, and it's not looking good for her. Earlier this year, federal agents launched a criminal investigation into the troubled mayor of a Chicago suburb, Tiffany Henyard. Just last week, they issued a subpoena for a mountain of business records and financial reports. Henyard, who calls herself a super mayor, has been accused of using taxpayer money for personal expenses, like funding a police security detail and indulging in extravagant, unnecessary travel. She was hit with 2 subpoenas, one focusing on her personal business activities and another on the township, according to the local news station that got copies. The first subpoena has the feds asking for personnel files, wage and tax documents, time and attendance records, contracts, and checks made out to cash from Henyard's various ventures: a restaurant she owns, a property management company she runs, her political action committee, and a charity in her name. The second subpoena requests a stack of township financial documents, including budgets, payroll records, and rules for credit card use, expense reports, reimbursements, security details, and vehicle usage. According to Fox 32, the information the feds are after makes it clear that Henyard is the main target of the criminal investigation. Former FBI agent Ross Rice told the station, "It's very broad in scope. It's very broad in the number of people and entities they're asking for records on. So there must be some serious allegations of wrongdoing that they're trying to get to the bottom of." Henyard has been criticized for treating local police like her personal security at the cost of $1 million, with local officials saying her demands have made it harder for them to do their jobs and keep the community safe. The Dolton Village Board voted unanimously to start an investigation into Henyard's alleged misuse of taxpayer money, but she blocked it with a veto. In March, the board decided to hire former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who used to be a federal prosecutor, to look into Henyard's spending, and also asked the FBI to start its own investigation. The results were shocking. They showed a major drop in Dolton's finances since Henyard took office in 2021. The report revealed that Dolton's general fund went from having $5.6 million in April 2022 to a deficit of $3.65 million by May 2024. That's nearly a $9 million swing in just 2 years.
Dug into what money was spent, she found overtime, especially with 2 officers, kept jumping year after year. 2 officers racked up in overtime, nearly doubling their salaries. One officer made $108,000, then $114,000 in overtime alone.
Lightfoot's report didn't just point out the overall financial decline, it also detailed specific cases of alleged misuse of taxpayer dollars. For instance, village credit cards were used for lavish purchases, including a staggering $33,500 spent on Wayfair. These transactions, among others, raise serious questions about where taxpayer money is going and how it's being used. Village trustee Kiana Baylor voiced the community's frustration and sense of betrayal, calling the situation a slap in the face to Dolton residents. Lightfoot's report also uncovered that over $6 million in checks had been approved but never sent to vendors. leaving the village's financial responsibilities in chaos. Trustee Tammy Brown didn't hold back, saying that if the community doesn't see the corruption now, nothing will change. She pushed for a major shakeup in leadership by February 2025, calling for significant changes to clean up the mess. But the financial mismanagement goes even further. The report also revealed shocking payroll issues within the Dolton Police Department. 2 officers received overtime pay that was more than their annual salaries, with one officer earning nearly $115,000 in overtime on top of their $87,200 salary. This kind of excess raises serious concerns about the village's financial oversight.
Please be paid that amount of money under no circumstance.
But Tiffany Henyard then rehired him and put him in a new position as the actual police chief, which you have to be sworn into that position. But he also...
Before these findings were made public, sources had already warned that Dolton was facing serious financial trouble, with the village possibly struggling to make the payroll in the coming weeks. It's been almost 3 years since Henyard became Dolton's first female mayor, and her time in office has been full of controversy. She also serves as Thornton Township Supervisor, and her image is prominently displayed outside Village Hall, a sharp contrast to the growing list of allegations against her. Henyard is now at the center of corruption and political retaliation claims. Critics, including trustees, business owners, and even the Illinois Attorney General's office, accuse her of treating village funds like her personal piggy bank, while Dolton's debts and unpaid bills pile up. Trustee Jason House has specifically called her out for taking expensive trips with village staff, which has contributed to a multi-million-dollar deficit. Henyard seems to have more issues than a haunted house, and while she tries to deflect by playing the race card, the evidence against her keeps piling up.
Talk to my black and brown communities. We'll sit here.
And what's with the gold mine?
This investigation isn't just a minor issue. It could mark the end of Tiffany Henyard's political career. To make matters worse, Louis Lacey, Dolton's chief of police and one of Henyard's close allies, has been indicted on charges that could land him in prison for a long time. Lacey's charges come from his role in a money scheme that's shaken up Dolton. But insiders say this is just the beginning. The indictment, which includes 9 counts, claims Lacey lied under oath to hide assets and income from creditors, dodging the payment of over $40,000 in a lawsuit settlement. The charges against him include bankruptcy fraud, making false statements in a bankruptcy case, and perjury, each carrying a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison.
Fire Henyard's hand-picked acting police chief, Louis Lacey, after their investigation found he collected $200,000 in overtime that they say he wasn't entitled to. Mayor Henyard wasn't having it. She insists Lacey is still the village's top cop.
Dolton. Lacey, who is 61 and lives in Madison, recently appeared in court wearing a blue suit. He briefly acknowledged the charges against him, and his attorney, Gal Pazitsky, entered a not guilty plea for him. Despite Pazitsky's objections, U.S. Magistrate Judge Beth Jantz ordered Lacey to surrender his work firearm, along with 2 other guns he had at home and his firearm owner's identification card. However, Judge Jantz said she might reconsider these restrictions if Pazitsky can show how they could affect Lacey's job with the Dolton Police Department. A status hearing is scheduled for October 1st before U.S. District Judge Thomas Durkin.
Absolutely not guilty of all 9 counts. I believe he's cooperating. And if you cooperate, you have to admit your guilt first.
And happening here tonight in...
Although the charges against Lacey are unrelated to his official duties in Dolton, his indictment adds another layer to the ongoing federal investigation into Mayor Henyard's alleged corruption. Lacey's indictment is the latest legal setback for Henyard, who has already faced multiple federal subpoenas this year. In response to the indictment, Lacey's attorney called the charges part of a larger witch hunt intended to discredit Mayor Henyard. Pazitsky highlighted Lacey's long service to the Dolton community and his reputation as a top-notch police officer and chief. This is a witch hunt where they are taking down Mr. Lacey to try to get to the mayor, Pazitsky stated, expressing his belief that Lacey is being targeted as a means of undermining Henyard. The Village of Dolton trustees recently voted to place Lacey on administrative leave for an indefinite period. However, Pazitsky has contested the legality of this decision, arguing that the trustees lack the authority to place Lacey on leave and insisting that his client should continue to receive his salary. They're operating in a way that, in my opinion, is not legal, Pazetsky remarked, pointing out that the mayor is the one who signs the checks. The indictment reveals a long history of financial mismanagement dating back to the 1980s, including multiple personal bankruptcy filings in Chicago. The latest petitions filed in 2019 and 2020 reportedly allowed Lacy to delay enforcing a 2017 settlement agreement with a plaintiff from a state court lawsuit. This lawsuit involved a woman whose husband was killed in Dolton in 2012. According to the suit, Lacy visited her several times and persuaded her to hand over tens of thousands of dollars from her husband's life insurance payout. Well, Lacy admitted in court papers that he had visited her out of sympathy and concern for her safety. He denied taking any money. The lawsuit was eventually settled for $55,000, with Lacy making an initial payment of $12,000. However, the fraud charges alleges that Lacy filed for bankruptcy twice to avoid paying the remaining $43,000. Court documents reveal that Lacy underreported his monthly income and hid bank accounts he controlled in filings and statements made under oath to the bankruptcy court. He allegedly lied about being separated from his wife, claiming she didn't live with him or contribute to his income and mortgage payments. These falsehoods allowed Lacy to greatly underestimate his monthly income and dodge creditors. This charge suggests that this indictment is not just a random event. It could be the first domino to topple the entire corrupt system that Henyard has built. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Lacy isn't just any police chief. He's been one of Henyard's most loyal enforcers, allegedly doing her dirty work for years. To grasp the seriousness of this situation, we need to look at how Tiffany Henyard has reportedly turned the Dolton Police Department into her personal squad. That's right, under Henyard's leadership, the police force is said to have become a group of enforcers who follow her every command. This includes allegedly extorting local businesses, intimidating political rivals, and providing private security for her and her allies. Despite everything, Henyard is still trying to control the police. Recently, she instructed officers to keep following orders from her chosen police chief, even though trustees have voted to put Lacy on leave due to the federal bankruptcy fraud charge and claims that he took $200,000 in unearned overtime.
Circumstances.
And Deputy Chief Louis Lacy, who was fired this week, also made a killing in overtime. Check out how much he was paid in overtime since 2022. Last fiscal year, the village paid him $96,000 in addition to his salary.
In a video obtained by News Nation, Henyard is heard telling police officers, "Stop playing these silly games." Lacy then warned the staff to follow orders or face consequences, saying, "Do what you want, but anything after this is insubordination." But here's something Tiffany Henyard really doesn't want you to know. There's an alternative. Former trustee Edward Steve, who has been outspoken about Henyard's corruption, is prepared to run for office again. The people of Dolton might just be ready for a change.
We've been the poster child for black ignorance, black arrogance, black dysfunction. Now we want to be the poster child for black love, black excellence, black unity, and most importantly, black self-accountability.
Ed Steve represents everything Henyard isn't: integrity, transparency, and a genuine commitment to serving the community. But he's not the only one. 6 months ago, former South Suburban Dolton Police Chief Robert Collins spoke out about the controversial security detail provided to Mayor Tiffany Henyard. For the first time, Collins revealed how the mayor's demands for personal protection impacted his ability to tackle crime in the community.
We needed those officers to be on the street fighting crime. And instead, we have several officers that are riding around protecting the mayor.
In 2023, a Fox 32 investigation revealed that Henyard's security detail was not only pulling officers off the street, but also piling up thousands of dollars in overtime costs for taxpayers. Under Collins' leadership, the strain on police resources became a major issue. The department was stretched so thin, it was nearly breaking. Collins explained that instead of having officers on patrol where they were needed, they were assigned to protect the mayor. Now living in Florida after being fired by Henyard late last year, Collins expressed deep frustration with the situation. He described leading a police department that was already short-staffed and overworked, while being forced to dedicate resources to Henyard's large personal security detail.
But at some point, there would be 2 officers or 3 officers, and depending on if there was some type of event, it would be more officers.
We desperately need those officers on the streets fighting crime, Collins said. But instead, they were assigned to chauffeur the mayor around. It's wrong, and someone needs to be held accountable. Apparently, Dolton police officers were spending their days driving Henyard from one location to another, often to her second taxpayer-funded job as Thornton Township supervisor in South Holland. Through an open records request, it was revealed that these officers were logging hundreds of hours of overtime, costing taxpayers tens of thousands of dollars.
At some point, there would be 2 officers or 3 officers, and depending on if there was some type of event, it would be more officers.
This level of security.
The level of security for a town of just over 20,000 residents struggling economically raised serious concerns. Dolton often has only a few police officers on duty per shift, and Collins argued that these officers were desperately needed elsewhere. The security detail was initially justified starting in 2021 after a police-involved shooting in Dolton that led to protests and threats against Henyard. Collins acknowledged that the detail was necessary during that tense period, but as the protests faded, the security detail didn't just continue, it grew. He realized that the officers were being used for personal errands rather than real security needs. According to Collins, officers assigned to Henyard were often sent to run errands, pick up and drop off items, and handle other tasks that had little to do with protecting the mayor. The security detail also racked up thousands of dollars in travel expenses, traveling with Henyard on out-of-town trips. Why would the mayor need a security detail on trips away from town? Collins questioned. Who exactly is a threat to her in these distant places?
Charges are for you, though.
No, sir.
You didn't go to Las Vegas? What is that?
No comment.
Why?
The demands of Henyard's security detail hampered Collins' efforts to tackle crime in Dolton. Just this February, a mass gun event on Sibley Boulevard left 4 people injured, an incident Collins believes could have been prevented with a stronger police presence. Dolton faces serious issues with gangs, guns, and illegal substances. Collins emphasized, those officers should be on the streets, serving the community, not escorting the mayor. When visibility is low, criminals feel more confident. When Fox 32 tried to question Mayor Henyard about her use of the police detail, Dolton Village Administrator Keith Freeman stepped in, blocking their camera and stopping them from getting any answers. Collins mentioned that he faced similar pushback when he tried to bring up the issue with Freeman, who dismissed his concerns. It was made clear to me that these were the orders and I had to follow them, Collins said. But why haven't you heard more about these people? Because Tiffany Henyard has done everything in her power to keep them in the shadows. Dolton needs to make a choice. Will they stick with a mayor who seems more focused on her own interests than helping the community, or will they give a chance to someone who truly wants to make a difference? With federal investigations ramping up, the community losing faith, and a new leader ready to step up, things don't look good for the self-proclaimed super mayor. As more people realize the truth about her leadership, it's only a matter of time before her whole world comes crashing down. But what are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments below. That's all for today. We hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more videos like this.